Breaking right this second, a few hundred newly uncovered text messages. We literally have them right here, and we are going through them as we speak. Between FBI lovebirds, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, they have literally just been released. We're going to explain what those messages reveal in just a moment. Also tonight, James Comey was just grilled by our own Bret Baier. Get this. The disgraced former FBI director just revealed a shocking new contradiction surrounding the department's FISA abuses. Plus, earlier today, the president rightly blasting James Comey, Robert Mueller, and even the DOJ. And, of course, we will play you his remarks and reveal just how abusively biased and corrupt our two-tier justice system has become. And we have more pro-Trump tweets from Kanye West. Hollywood elites, liberal America are unhinged over this. Plus, Bill Cosby, guilty, facing up to 30 years in prison after being found guilty of sexual assault. We have full reports coming up tonight. And breaking just moments ago, we are monitoring the history in the making. The North Korean dictator, Kim Jong-un, became the first leader of North Korea to cross the border and step into South Korea. We're going to show you this historic tape. But first, it's time for tonight's very important breaking news, opening monologue. All right, so as we speak, the House of Representatives is now pouring through 49 brand new additional pages of newly uncovered text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Now, you might remember these messages were a part of the 6 months of missing texts that somehow, well, were lost because of an alleged technical issue with the FBI-issued Samsung phones. Fox News can right now confirm that many of these unearthed texts contain incomplete information, and some are totally incomprehensible. Sarah Carter joins us in a few minutes with the brand new information. And, of course, we know in previous texts, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, constantly trashing President Trump, calling him an idiot, a menace, a lonesome human being, and even said F Trump. And prior to Election Day in 2016, Peter Strzok also mentioned some kind of insurance policy that was proposed to Andrew McCabe if Trump should assume office. Now, quote, I want to believe the path that you threw out for consideration in Andy's office, that there's no way he gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk. It's like an insurance policy in the unlikely event you die before you're 40. What did that mean? Also remember the letter from then-Senator Harry Reid urging Jim Comey to open up a Trump-Russia collusion investigation into President Trump. After that letter became public, Peter Strzok, well, he texted Lisa Page a link to a New York Times article referencing the letter, writing, quote, here we go. Now, we're literally they were actively rooting for the president's demise. Or what is the insurance policy? What is the insurance plan? Was it to drag the president through the mud? Either way, it's not a good look for two people that were tapped by Robert Mueller for key roles in this special counsel investigation witch hunt. And even worse, this does critical damage to the reputation of our system of justice. Every one of us, every American, needs to be concerned. All right, also breaking tonight, James Comey was grilled by Bret Baier right here on the Fox News channel. He's now claiming that the Clinton bought and paid for, unverified, uncorroborated dossier that made up the bulk of the FISA application. He's saying did not make up the bulk of the FISA information against the Trump campaign associate, even though we have two congressional memos that contradict what James Comey said just a few minutes ago, well, a few hours ago. Take a look.
You called the dossier unverified, salacious. Why did you use that to the FISA court to ask for surveillance for Carter Page? Not only use it, but you led with it. A bulk of that FISA application deals with that dossier. Why?
Yeah, that's not my recollection, Brett. And I don't know that the FISA application has been released. My recollection was it was part of a broader mosaic of facts that were laid before the FISA judge to obtain a FISA warrant.
There was a lot more than the dossier in the FISA application?
My recollection was there was a significant amount of additional material about Page and why there was probable cause to believe he was an agent of a foreign power. And the dossier was part of that, but was not all of it or a critical part of it, to my recollection.
I'm having a really hard time believing that. And this is almost unbelievable. Jim Comey still claiming not to know who paid for Hillary's dirty dossier with Russian lies and propaganda that was put together by a foreign national, including Russian government lies. Look at this.
When did you learn that the DNC and Hillary Clinton campaign had funded Christopher Steele's work?
Yeah, I still don't know that for a fact.
What do you mean?
I've only seen it in the media. I never knew exactly which Democrats had funded. I knew it was funded first by Republicans, opposed to Donald.
But that's not true.
I'm sorry?
That's not true. That the dossier that Christopher Steele worked on was funded by Republicans?
My understanding was his work started funded by as Oppo Research, funded by Republicans.
So Free Beacon and said that they had Glenn Simpson and Fusion GPS on a kind of a retainer, but they did not fund the Christopher Steele memo or the dossier. That was initiated by Democrats.
Okay, my understanding was the activity was begun, that Steele was hired to look into, was first funded by Republicans, then picked up, the important thing was picked up by Democrats opposed to Donald Trump.
This is mind-blowing. They never verified it. He didn't know who funded it? Really? And Christopher Steele was not brought in until Hillary took over the Fusion GPS deep dive into Donald Trump. Now, earlier today, the president called in to Fox and Friends and sounded off, rightly so, on Jim Comey. Listen to the president.
Comey is a leaker and he's a liar. And not only on this stuff, he's been leaking for years. He's probably been using his friend, the so-called professor, who now turns out to have FBI clearance, which he never said. He even lied about that because he never said that in Congress. He said he gave it to a friend. And he gave it to a friend to leak classified information. It's all classified. It was totally classified. So he did an illegal act. And he said it himself, in order to get a special counsel against me. So the special counsel, and by the way, and Intelligence Committee and everybody else has found no collusion. Nobody unclassified them. And those memos were about me, and they're phony memos. He didn't write those memos accurately. He put a lot of phony stuff.
President's correct. And the president also slamming the Department of Justice and Mueller's partisan witch hunt. Let's take a look at this.
I answer this all the time. Because of the fact that they have this witch hunt going on with people in the Justice Department that shouldn't be there, they have a witch hunt against the President of the United States going on. I've taken the position, and I don't have to take this position, and maybe I'll change, that I will not be involved with the Justice Department. I will wait till this is over. It's a total... it's all lies, and it's a horrible thing that's going on. So I'm very disappointed in my Justice Department. But because of the fact that it's going on, and I think you'll understand this, I have decided that I won't be involved. I may change my mind at some point because what's going on is a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And by the way, the only collusion is the collusion with the Democrats and the Russians. You take a look at what's going on there. They wouldn't even give their server, the DNC, Democratic National Committee, wouldn't even give its server to the FBI. So what kind of an FBI? They break down doors for Paul Manafort early in the morning. His wife is in bed, like at 5 or 6 in the morning, and they undo the lock for Michael Cohen early in the morning. And yet they walk into the DNC and they won't give them the server. They say, we're not giving you the server. Oh, okay, we'll leave. That's not the FBI. That's a fix.
Why didn't they demand those DNC servers? A phenomenal point. Double standard. President Trump is right. Now, earlier today, the National Review's Victor Davis Hanson, an incredible column breaking down the shocking double standard in very clear terms. Mueller was all too happy to target former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, 35 years of service to his country, for lying to the FBI. The FBI agents interviewing him didn't think so. Andrew McCabe, he remains uncharged, even after the Inspector General reported multiple lies to federal investigators under oath. And James Comey also remains free and clear when he lied to Congress about not writing Hillary Clinton's exoneration letter before investigating and interviewing Clinton. And then Peter Strzok interviewed Clinton. What about James Clapper? We know he lied under oath about data collection on Americans, and John Brennan, who lied under oath about the dirty dossier. And then, of course, no charges, as the president was just saying, for Cheryl Mills, who misled investigators about Hillary Clinton's private server, or Huma Abedin, who also tried to conceal Hillary's illicit server. Then there's the obstruction of justice charges that Mueller is all too happy to investigate as long as it's Donald Trump or somebody related to Trump. But but not James Comey, who clearly misled a FISA judge about the Clinton bought and paid for foreign dossier put together by Christopher Steele in order to obtain a warrant against a Trump campaign associate, an opposition party, before the election? Seriously? Is this the United States or are we Venezuela? Now, the Clinton campaign, they paid this former spy, a foreign national, to write the dossier using Russia propaganda and lies. Nobody verified it or corroborated it, and they still presented it to a FISA judge, and they omitted who paid for it. Not Clinton associate Cheryl Mills. She claimed attorney-client privilege in order to get out of testifying during the server investigation. And now the newest addition of President Trump's legal team, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. He is weighing in on the ongoing Mueller witch hunt, telling a local news station, quote, "I can guarantee you this, when Mueller's finished, no matter whatever he does, he's not going to have a stitch of evidence that," meaning he, President Trump, colluded with the Russians. Now, that's a disgrace. The case should be over. The mayor's right. Now, even the Attorney General, finally, Jeff Sessions, is calling for the Mueller probe to come to an end. For the sake of this country, this needs to come to an end. Watch this.
I think the American people are concerned, and the president is concerned. He's dealing with France and North Korea and Syria and taxes and regulations and border and crime every day. And I wish this thing needs to conclude.
It needs to conclude. Yes, sir, Mr. Attorney General. He also claimed that he would not be appointing a second special counsel to investigate deep state crimes because special counsel investigations take on a life of their own. Well, you don't say. Take a look.
We're determined to be disciplined, stay within our classical procedures and rules. I do not think we need to willy-nilly appoint special counsels, and as we can see, it can really take on a life of its own.
Let me be clear. These are obvious examples of bias at some of the highest levels of our system of justice in this country. Every American, you should be troubled. I always say, let not your heart be troubled. But this is an obvious two-tiered system of justice. We all deserve and must demand better. And by the way, we'll have more analysis on this deep state corruption later in the show. But first, now, despite pressure from some of his liberal Hollywood friends, Kanye West, good for him, he's not backing down from his, quote, love for President Trump. And Kanye was pictured leaving his studio proudly wearing his Make America Great Again hat. And earlier today, he tweeted, quote, "If you feel something, don't let peer pressure manipulate you." I love people that stand up for what they believe in. Anyway, this week, Kanye West, he's been taking a stand for individual thought after supporting black conservative Candace Owens, who came under fire from the left for comments about victim mentality culture. By the way, we'll have more on Kanye's developing friendship with the president later in the program. Candace also is going to be on the show tonight. But here with reaction to all of these developments out of Washington tonight,